We have seen coups happening in the sub-region, in West Africa, so many times.
Yeah.
And we have not heard or seen ECOWAS taking the stance of reinstating someone through invading that particular country. But why Niger? Why did they choose to do it this time? Don't they think people might think that there is someone behind pushing them to do what they are trying to do?
So ECOWAS, as a regional body, of course, has registered some successes. Of course, I think Liberia and other countries, they've of course invaded to make sure there is peace and so on. But even in the Gambia, 2016, when Jammeh said he wasn't going to leave, ECOWAS is part of the regional bodies that made it possible for Jammeh to leave. Probably if ECOWAS do not intervene, Jammeh will have overstayed. Even though we know his time expired, we've seen delegations from ECOWAS that came to have a peaceful discussion with him so that he could leave office. So why do we forget about that easily? Why do we start to pass judgments on them like that without also giving probably the good things, of course, that they've done? Because in 2016, Gambians were not saying this about ECOWAS when they were sending their delegations to come. So I think one of the reasons why ECOWAS is trying to take that step of invading Niger and then to remove the military from power is because of the leadership that has changed. I mean, ECOWAS, of course, in 2021, the leader, I think, was Macky Sall, I forgot. Either Macky Sall or Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana. But today it's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the current elected president of Nigeria. So the changing of leadership might be a fundamental reason as to why ECOWAS wants to invade. But invasion is something that I do not subscribe to. I don't think it is necessary for ECOWAS to use the barrel of the gun to say they are going to change a military government. The best thing they could do is let them at least strengthen the dialogue between them and the military. I think that is the best thing, because you have to look at the safety of the ordinary citizens of that in that particular country.
Interesting, Musa. Musa, we have seen the reason for the coup d'etat in Guinea-Bissau. You have been talking a lot about Guinea and Conakry, rather. We have seen what the former president did. He changed the constitution, or he wanted to change the constitution to suit himself for a third term. And according to your constitution, it is just 2 terms. So don't you think that is also one of the reasons that the military is intervening in our politics? Musa, what is your take on that?
Yeah, that is also among the reasons why military intervene in politics. For the fact that most of our presidents, especially presidents that are in countries that has term limits, when they realize that their term is about to end, all they do is to decorate the constitution just to suit themselves in power by changing some parts of the constitution. I mean, that's what the president of Guinea-Conakry wanted to do, that is to change the constitution and make sure that he serves another term in office. But things could not work as he expected. So with regard to what Biran was saying, that is ECOWAS being successful. I mean, why is it that ECOWAS, there were so many countries that committed coup d'etats, but those people were not being invaded. Now they wanted to invade Niger. My own opinion is for the fact that Niger is among one of the most richest, countries in Africa. I mean, they have diamonds, they have golds, uranium, you name them, bauxite. And then France is gaining a lot from them. So if these military men are to come in power, remove Mohamed Bazoum, at some point Mohamed Bazoum is in fact working with, these people. He is a puppet, he is afraid of them. So if the military are to come and then send away all these, French armies, then obviously they will lose a lot. And that is why they do not want, this man to stay in power. We have seen Mali, Assimi Goïta. We have seen, Guinea-Conakry, Doumbia is there. We have seen Burkina Faso. But those people were never, removed or to reinstate the presidents that were there. So France is essentially putting force on these people, on ECOWAS. And America is at some point supporting. And on the other way around, you see Russia also coming with Wagner. So you see, if we say the European countries, France is among the greatest European countries, and they are gaining a lot. So they do not want to lose these things from this country. So as a result, they have to put a lot of force on ECOWAS, on AU, on UN, so that they will be able to, reinstate Mohamed Bazoum.
So any objection?
Before that, you've raised something about the issue of changing the constitution in order to stay in power. That is not common with only the civilian governments. Even the military also do. Because when they come to power, they tell you, we're staying for this particular time and then we vacate. That is the reason why SANNEH Sabally had to fall out with Jama and others.
But that was a kind of like a degree. It was never in that constitution.
Exactly, it's a degree.
But what happened to civilian president?
Yeah.
They would want to change.
Not they would. Some will change.
Some will change.
They change. But I'm still saying,
okay,
if you think the military is the alternative, even though they ban the constitution, you use the degree, but they still follow the same procedure. They tell you 6 months and then they overstay in power. So it's still the same.
The same trend.
Just that they do it differently. These ones follow the degree. These ones go with the constitution.
Then one of them do it illegally, and one of them.
And then that illegality is what we don't want to get into. Because if things are illegal in a country, at the end, it might lead to lawlessness, of course.
Sirif, what is your objection to what he said?
Yeah, exactly. For me personally, I will not support military intervention no matter what happens.
How and why?
Yeah, simply because the negatives are always more than the positives. Military trying to intervene because maybe the president wanted to change the constitution or change the constitution. It is the sole responsibilities of the citizens to go to the polls and then decide on the individual that they think needs to come.
But most of the times, this president will use this same military that we are talking about to maltreat their own citizens. We don't want
to have that same military that maltreats the citizens.
If citizens to come back and then.
But so what if the military are so passionate to the extent that they wanted to remove that individual first before fighting against their own people?
And if they remove that individual, they will now be cemented to do what they were used to do.
It does it, of course. And does it? Yeah, Siri was saying that because the negative side, supersedes the positives. When you come to the democratically elected, governments and the military. During Barrow's regime, not long ago, the media wanted to embark on a protest sort of, because there is a high rate of unemployment. The crime rates were increasing. And so many other issues. So these are also, negative impacts. And in fact, it worth it for the military to take over, because by then things were very hard in this country.
And how so are you when the military intervene? They are going to solve these problems.
They would obviously solve it.
How so are you?
100%.
100%. What
so
is
the
your
issue of changing the language of the constitution, I think that's where the weakness of Ecowas and all these regional bodies come. We are not saying that all the civilian governments deliver, and we're not saying whatever they do needs to be condone or whatsoever. But I can tell you, ECOWAS has a responsibility to make leaders know that changing the language of the constitution at some point is just like trying to overstay in power and so on. And then it's a matter of trying to see whether there are better alternatives to stop that. Instead of, because that is also part of the reasons why the military intervened. Nobody can deny that. But I think what they need to do is they need to at least see how best they could stop that. Because some of these leaders are playing fundamental roles in these organizations like ECOWAS. Some people, in fact, at some point were like, Macky Sall was going to change the constitution in order to contest in 2020 for the election of the Senegal. But at the end, we've all seen he came out public and said, no, I'm not going to contest. And
one could still argue that he did that out of the protest of his people against him.
I believe with the Senegalese army, Macky still has the opportunity.
You see what we are talking about? This is what we are talking about.
No,
he will still use the army against his people. And that's what is happening.
I'm not saying he should, but I'm saying he can.
That's what I'm saying.
Because other leaders did it. But for the fact that he did not, I don't see anything bad in commending him for that. Because he did something which is very, very rare in African politics. Your 2 term ended and you be like, I am going to leave office. He needs to be commended for that. I don't see there's anything bad about that. So people could say, of course, that maybe your opinion that it is because of the protests that the people are doing in Senegal. But not everybody in Senegal is protesting. Macky still has a support base in Senegal. Macky has a lot of people that are supporting him.
How factual is that?
How factual? How can you argue that most of the people in Senegal, how can you argue that most of the people in Senegal are against Macky?
I'm not
because you said
what I'm trying to say is we have seen it on media. We have seen it on many times. People coming out in large numbers.
Again, the protest does not need every citizen. Senegal has more than 15 million people.
I know.
You cannot tell me it's 15 million, more than that 15 million people that are protesting. A lot are sitting in their homes. Of course, they will not come out and protest because some of them subscribe to it. So for the fact that he did it, all the other leaders needs to at least emulate what Maki did.
Sure.
And they need to follow that same trajectory if they want them to be honored, respected as great statesmen in their various countries.
Very important. Very important, Biran. Okay.
What we expect of ECOWAS before reinstating, certain presidents that are being overthrown by the military, we at least expect them to make sure that there is a term limit for all of these.
They tried.
presidents.
In 2016, I didn't know it was only Jammeh who opposed it and Togo's former
That
president.
should be their main target.
But they once tried, of course. And then what I want you to understand is every country has a sovereignty. These organizations you are seeing cannot impose their decisions on countries. They can move like recommend, and it's left to the leaders whether to implement or not. But they cannot force it.
But again, to be part of these organizations, you have to be ready and willing to follow their rule and regulations.
No.
You have to be. You have to follow them, and that makes them not to be completely sovereign.
So are you blaming them for Jammeh opposing the term limit? Are you blaming them for Jammeh opposing the term limit?
Am I blaming
ECOWAS for Jammeh opposing the term limit?
I am blaming Jammeh.
Exactly, so that is it. That's what I'm talking about.
What my point is, before reinstating presidents that have been overthrown by the military, why not we make sure that there is a term limit for each and every country that is part of ECOWAS?
That's what I'm saying. We're still on the same
line.
That
is what I'm also...
ECOWAS can only recommend. If they recommend, it's left to those leaders to accept or not.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And
they recommended, and I think it was only two countries, that of Togo and then Gambia that opposed. So they did their best to make sure there's term limit. But all the other countries, there are term limits there. Alpha Conde, of course, there was term limits in Guinea. He changed it. And then you cannot blame ECOWAS at some point for Alpha Conde changing. The only thing that ECOWAS could do is to make sure they have other ways of either sanctioning Guinea for Alpha Conde doing that. But they cannot force their wheels on those countries. Those countries are sovereign countries.
Then why are they also forcing the military to invade them away?
Because the military is not the government of the people.
Act.
But
it is illegal.
The military is in a country.
The government,
and that country
again,
is sovereign.
Again, the military
So
is
what
not.
if the people are so in support to the military?
How can you justify that most or majority of the citizens are supported? How can you justify that?
Now, how can you also justify that majority of the people are not in support of the military?
Because they voted for Bazoum.
But
that alone is a justification.
Through the media, you see many people
Again, you will be fooled if you are following the media. I can tell you in this year when I was following Nigeria's election, you think Peter Obi will win. But I can tell you you want to tell me that all the people in Niger are on social media? You want to tell me all the people in the Gambia are on social media? You want to tell me that's what you have to follow.
Okay, are they active social media?
Trust me, if it is social media, you people will be in government.
The majority.
If it is social media, then we will have to follow. You people will be in government.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Let us not deviate to the topic. Okay, it's also very important to know this. These recent coups are really alarming. So as young people, as young Africans, as young Gambians, what do you think this signifies to us as young people who are, yearning to become leaders in the future? Well, what does this signify? Sheriff, what do you
This signifies we need to redesign ourselves. Understand, because they said you cannot use old keys to open new doors. And this action of coup d'etat, these are old keys that we are trying to use in order to open new doors. We are in an advanced world. We are in a digital society. What we need to do is to look for ways that are going to promote peace and stability. And one of these ways is electing people through democratic means. However, we are having leaders who are competent, but are not given the opportunities to be in office. Yes. But what happens is, most of the times, because those individuals are not given to the privileges to be ruling or to run the day-to-day running of affairs of the state, is sometimes political issues, sometimes the lack of or the level of illiteracy in that particular country. People are not aware. People need to be aware, understand the effects that would happen to them. In doing so, we try to elect the right individual.
Thank you.
And then when the guy is elected, the guy also needs to understand, I am here for the people. Be patriotic enough. Try to serve the term that you have been given. Deliver to expectation. If this is done, military would be at where they are, ECOWAS would be where they are, and at the end we would be a peaceful and a stable nation.
Same question goes to you, Musa. What do you think this recent or frequent coups signifies to us as young Africans and young Gambians?
Yeah, what it signifies is very simple and clear. As I have said earlier on, I will repeat it again. It means that our leaders are not competent enough. It means that most of our leaders are not capable. It also means that our leaders are not delivering up to expectation because we put them there, and then they should serve us. A leader is he who, knows the way, shows the way, and goes by the way. You serve people and not yourself, okay? And also, this means that most of our people are not well educated. Looking at our education, rate, the level of education should supersede that of the uneducated people. The educated ones should supersede that of the uneducated ones, okay? Because it is a significant, feature in democracy. So essentially, it means as young people, at some point we do not have future, and then we had a long way towards fighting and making sure that we have a very good one. And our mode of voting matters a lot. The people that we put in power are expected to deliver, to serve us. What are they there for? If these people are able to serve and do the right thing, then obviously those in uniform would never think of overthrowing them. If those in uniform, those working in service have the good salary, they are well paid, their conditions are good, then obviously everyone would live in a very peaceful and harmonious environment. And my solution, I can give a solution if possible.
Sure. Or you can keep that for your final remark.
Well, okay, okay. Fine.
Yeah, interesting. Biran, what do you think this signifies?
So coup d'etats, normally it's not about bad governance only. I've talked about some leaders or some men in military uniform do coup d'etat just because of their own love for leadership. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown by military in uniform, and then it's going to be difficult for somebody who believes in Pan-Africanism to tell me Nkrumah was not delivering. If you tell me it's because of only bad leadership, then ask yourself, why did they overthrow Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana? Why did they overthrow Sankara of Burkina Faso? All these people were also overthrown and they were delivering. Patrice Lumumba, even though his case is a little bit different.
Sure.
So our future at some point is in darkness. The leaders that we also elect through the ballot of the box are not also delivering to our expectations. Although we have some few that, of course, you can see that they are on the right path, they're going to at least move us a little bit at country level and the continental level. But I think ECOWAS, AU, SADC, and all these regional bodies have a key role to play to make sure whenever we elect leaders as citizens of our various countries, they make sure those leaders, they guide them to do the right things for their various countries so that at least we will not allow, because sometimes it is not bad leadership that prompt these coups. The military use it as an opportunity to get to power. So that when they get to power, they do what they want to do because they ban the constitution that is expected to dictate our conduct, how we speak, whatever we do in a country. If that constitution is banned, our rights are seized. They have access to our resources. They loot it, they plunder it, they do whatever they want to do in order to make sure that they enrich themselves against citizens of our countries. So our future is in darkness. But as young people, we have a duty. Educate the people. Let's still reach out to them.
Interesting.
That we all have a social contract, a contract between you, yourself, and the country. The social contract is to make sure before you die, you deliver. So that when you die, people will remember you based on the good things that you've done for your country. That social contract must be fulfilled. And then the best way to fulfill it is, if you do not have the legal power, the prerogative to change certain things, you have the power to speak to people so that they understand you better. And then we make sure whenever we are electing leaders, we elect leaders that will deliver, in fact, beyond our expectations.
Thank you very much. I think it's very interesting so far. We have talked about a lot. But if you were to give one solution, just one in few words, to summarize it, what do you think would you give to African leaders to work on in order to develop our nations?
Essentially, my solution would be centered on how do we solve coup d'etats, even though if there are coup d'etats, how do we try to solve it, rather than going in for invading or reinstating them. I believe that is not the right idea. Since they have been removed, it is because of a reason that they are being removed. So as a result, at least there should be something like an agreement among themselves. The military should try by all means and then hand over the government to the civilians. And how is this going to be done? That is, it depends. If the junta member is going to stand, resign as a military, and stand like what Jammeh did, and then contest for elections, have the mandate of the people and rule. Yeah, I think that is the best solution. Okay. And also, there should be term limits, as I usually say. And I would always say, maybe always in every 10 years, there should be a new president.
Thank you very much.
And then also, like Africans among ourselves, we should work together, hand in glove, all Africans, towards promoting peace and security among African countries.
Very interesting, very interesting. So, Sirif, what would be, in few sentences, could you suggest to young people in Africa or or leaders in Africa that we would do in order to avoid these frequent coups and also develop our nation?
Well, it's very simple. Leaders in Africa need to be patriotic. Patriotic in the sense that they need to love their people. I believe if they have love for their people, they will deliver to expectation. And if they deliver to expectation, there will be no military that will come to be opposing them. Military should be there to defend the territorial integrity of the country and not come into power through the barrels of the gun. If this continues, then that will be maybe the back way to State House, people will put it. Because coming through elections might be very difficult, but coming through the barrels of the gun, just get few support from other individuals, then you have the access. But then all in all, our leaders need to be patriotic.
Our leaders need to be patriotic. Very interesting. Biran, what could be your
So collectively, let's speak against coups. Let's not normalize it. Because I believe the negative supersedes the positive. And then it opens doors for individuals that do not have the intellectual pedigree, that do not have the right plans, that do not understand anything about governance, to have an opportunity to lead us. And if that happens or continues to happen, then it's obvious that we will always be backward. Because I believe if it is about through elections, at least the citizens might be able to say, this one is educated, let me give him an opportunity. But if it is about coups, you don't have an option. Any individual can come and carry out a military operation and the person will be in the State House and you do not have any other choice. You speak against it, they silence you. So let us at least make sure that education, that is where I'm going to center it. Those that we elect in power have a duty to make sure they democratize education and then they decentralize it. Let every part of this country, education be there. Let it be a quality education, accessible even to the son of a farmer, even to the son of somebody who, to a widow or an individual who doesn't have the financial capacity to fund the educations of their children. Because I believe if people are well educated, at some point it is extremely difficult to control their mindset. But if people are ignorant, people do not understand their political systems, they vote for leaders who will not serve their interests. But if majority of the citizens are aware about their rights and they know why they are voting, trust me, there will come a time for our beloved nation, we will have a leader that will be elected by the people, and the leader will deliver and give us a term limit and set up a path or a trajectory that other leaders after him will at least continue to go with. That is interesting. Let us democratize.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming and joining me to this very interesting topic. And I think it's going to be very important. Most of the times I just talk to a fellow young person or talk to a group of young people to discuss issues of concern. We don't need an expert to come and educate us on what is happening and what we know is happening. So that's why for me, I personalize it to talk to a fellow young person or to talk to young people, to talk about issues that is of national interest, issues that is really talked about and we need to talk about as young people. So once again, thank you very much for joining me and see you next time, and just try by all means to subscribe, like and share, and we will be coming back again with more interesting topics. Thank you so much. Thank you.